Good morning. Today we are continuing with our unit working with our angles and shapes. We are working on CO57 today. I can classify and draw regular, convex, and concave polygons. So that means we have to know what those terms mean in order to be able to classify them and draw them. So they are different types of shapes. And we're going to learn what these shapes are. So first, we're going to go with the polygon. A polygon is an enclosed figure with straight edges. So an example of a polygon might be something like that. Straight lines, straight edges, and it's enclosed. There's no openings. Another example might be something like this, doing that star shape. All straight lines, and it's enclosed. Not a polygon might be something like this. It's not closed off, it's open. We could also have something like that would not be a polygon because it's two parts, not just one. So we don't want there to be any overlaps in the middle. Another example of not a polygon would be something like that. Why is that one not a polygon? Nolan? It's got a rounded side. They have to be straight sides in order to be a polygon. Straight sides, all enclosed, no openings, and we're not crossing over any of our sides. So now we need to be able to name our polygons. Why do we think we're starting at 3? Why aren't we starting at 2? Amelia?
Because like a square can't have like 2 sides, it can only have like 3 or like more than that.
Yeah. So if I only have 2 sides, it's not closed. So the polygon, so the word you were looking for is polygon. A polygon has to have at least 3 sides, otherwise it's not going to be closed up. There's no way you can close up your shape with only 2 sides. We have to have at least 3 to close it up. So that's why our polygon names start with the 3. What would we call a 3-sided polygon? Triangle, because tri means 3. We should know the next one. What do we call a 4-sided polygon?
Square, rectangle.
Nope. We learned this.
This is really P.
Close. Starts with Q.
Quadrilateral.
Quadrilateral.
Just say quad.
You cannot just say quad, because quad means 4.
But for me,
For what?
for me,
For puppies? For houses?
a
For
quad
what?
is a body
We
type.
need to have the lateral. Yeah, because it's your quadriceps. It's the muscles that it's referred to. How many muscles are there?
Yay.
So you need to have the second part of the word. Lateral means sides. We talked about that. So you need to know it's quadrilateral. You can't just call it a quad. Okay? Because quad can go with lots of other things like quadriceps, which are your muscles. Okay, biceps would be how many muscles? 2. Because bi means 2. Okay. Any guess on what our 5-sided figure would be called? Nolan? Hexagon. Sorry, not hexagon. What did you say, Nolan? Hexagon is 6.
Pentagon.
Pentagon. Penta means 5. A six-sided figure is hexagon. Five-sided is penta. So if we think about Washington, D.C., the Pentagon is a five-sided building. That's how it got its name. Six-sided is the hexagon. Seven sides. Any guess? Seven-sided is a heptagon.
What's an octagon? Oh, an octagon.
Octa means eight. So you're right, the eight-sided figure is an octagon. Think about an octopus. How many legs does an octopus have?
Eight.
Eight.
Wait, what about October?
Yeah, that's a good question. No, October's the 10th month of the year. I don't know how October got its name. 9. Any guess on the 9?
What is it? Quadra.
9 is the nonagon.
Nonagon? I've never heard that.
10 is deca. So it's a decagon.
Guys, it's a deck.
You need to know these. You're going to want to write this table on your help sheet. You will need to know these names for the test. Okay, if it says draw a heptagon, you need to know that you need 7 sides. You will need these. You can draw this table on your help sheet. Okay, these words will come back to haunt you. You need to know them. All right. Let's scroll up. So, we talked about a polygon is an enclosed figure with straight edges. Now we have a regular polygon. A regular polygon is a polygon with all sides equal in length and all angles are congruent. So it has congruent sides, congruent angles. What is our quadrilateral? That would be a regular quadrilateral. What do we call that?
A square?
A square. So your example would be a square. All the sides and angles are equal in a square. So that is a regular quadrilateral. Okay, so all sides and angles have to be equal. What is our regular triangle called? Dylan? No. A triangle by its name does not need to be equal sides and equal angles. What do we call the triangle that is all equal, Nolan? Ezekiel? No, quad is 4.
Wait, that's 4.
Equilateral triangle. They are all equal, so that would be a regular triangle, is the equilateral triangle, or the equiangular. James, I'm going to ask that you stop tipping because I don't want you to fall backwards. Thank you. So congruent sides are marked with notches through each side. So if we look at that square, they all have the same sides there. They're all equal. We could also have our rectangle showing congruent sides, the two short ends and the two long ends. That shows congruency. So you have to match up the same notches to show which sides are congruent. Congruent angles are marked with their arcs. So if they all have the same arc, they are all the same measurement. We might have something that has these two angles are congruent, these two angles are congruent. So if it's just like with our notches, if there's one line, that's congruent with other one lines. If there's two lines, that's congruent with other two lines. Same thing with the angles. If there's one arc, congruent with other one arcs. If there's two arcs, that's congruent with the other two arcs. So a regular polygon is they're all equal. A concave polygon
It's a cave polygon.
kind of looks like there's a cave-in that happens. So technically, we would say a polygon for which an extended edge passes through the figure. So when we would draw that, I could draw something like this. And I say, if I have an edge that can go, if I extend that line, it goes into the middle of our figure, it's concave. Like Enzo said, oh, there's a cave, so it's like caved in. So we can see this side here looks like it's caved in, caved into the figure.
Did you spell the through just a U?
Yeah. It can be spelled that way, or it can be spelled this way. This is my shorthand way of spelling it,
I like a drive-through.
like the drive-through movies, or drive-through
For
fast food. Yeah. So you can spell it that way. Key thing that we do need to know is concave means this line would come inside your figure. It looks like it's caved in. So a convex polygon, we know it's the opposite because the interior angles are less than 180 degrees. So if we were looking at interior angles, so the inside, if we looked at this, it's going to be bigger than 180 degrees because it goes all the way around. So if it is a convex polygon, our angles are all going to be less than 180 degrees. We can also look at that and say none of these exterior lines, when you extend them, none of them go inside. There's no cave-ins. So if we extend all of the sides, none of them go inside our polygon. Concave, it goes inside the polygon, it's caved in. Convex, it does none of those outside lines will touch the inside. All of these angles are less than 180 degrees. They're smaller than a straight line. Does that make sense? All right. So now let's look at how we're going to use all of this information. So we need to think about regular, convex, concave, and the side numbers. Okay, so if we look at this first shape, is it a regular polygon, a convex polygon, or a concave polygon? What do you think, James?
Regular?
So are all of these side lengths the same size?
Ooh, convex.
Yeah, so it's not regular because they're not all the same size. They don't have the notches saying they're congruent. So James, now you said convex. How do you know it's convex?
Because the interior angles are less than 180.
Yeah, the interior angles are less than 180. There's no cave-ins happening. Okay, so we know it's convex. Now, we need to call it what its side number is. So a convex what? James?
Pentagon.
A convex pentagon, because it has 5 sides. So that is the name of this shape. It's a convex pentagon. Let's look at our next one. What do you think the name of this next shape would be? Ethan? It's regular because look at all of those angles are congruent, all of the sides are congruent, so we know it's regular. Is it convex or concave? Convex, because there are no cave-ins happening. And what is our number of sides?
Pentagon.
Hexagon. There are 6 sides, so it's a regular convex hexagon. Now, I'm going to take you over to this one. How many sides does that one have?
Decagon.
How many sides does it have? You actually have to count them.
12.
There are 12 sides. He did not, in our table chart, give us what the 12 is. Mr. Schultz.
Oh no.
No, we're not crossing out. We're learning from it. Always learning. So, the 12 is the dodecagon. You know what? I need to write it down lower. So if it is a 12-sided shape, it is a dodecagon.
How do they all have gons on the last?
Why do you think they all have gons at the end?
Because
Because they're polygons.
Gorgon. The demon Gorgon.
Okay. Now down here, it says you have to draw one that's described. So a nonagon is going to have how many sides? 9. You just draw one for each thing. So your nonagon might look different than my nonagon because it doesn't say anything more. It doesn't say if it's convex or concave. It doesn't say if it's regular. So you're just going to draw a 9-sided figure that has to be closed. It can't have any open sides. But if it's a regular octagon, what does that mean? All the sides and angles have to be the same size. They have to be congruent. If it's concave, you have to make it look concave. If it's convex, make it look convex. Make sure you have the right number of sides. Then underneath that, it says true or false. And if it's false, draw or write a counterexample, something that would make it true. So if it says something, if it's false some way, draw what would be true for that. So an example would be a quadrilateral cannot be regular. How do we know that that is false? What is an example of a regular quadrilateral? We've already talked about it. A square. So you're going to draw a square and say, I know that that is wrong because a square is a regular quadrilateral. So you can just, you don't have to write out the words, just draw the picture that would make it true. And then on the very bottom, it is our review. And there's one word I want to point out in the review because I don't know if we know it. So on the review, it says draw and label adjacent angles that are complementary. Anybody know what an adjacent angle would be? Jillian,
Is it just like,
you might know it. Give it a try.
it's like more sharp than other ones?
Good guess. No. Matthew?
They're like adjacent, like next to each other, or something like that?
They're next to each other. They're adjacent. If you're in an adjacent room, you're in the room next to that room. So remember when we said if they're complementary angles, all that mattered was that their angles equaled what? 90 degrees. But if it's adjacent angles, they have to be next to each other. So they have to be next to each other to make that 90 degrees. So adjacent means they are next to each other. They share one of those lines. All of the other ones we should be able to answer. Any questions on today's assignment? For my friends watching at home, we hope you are well and we hope to see you soon. Have a wonderful day.